Now this video is going to show you the importance of the power spots. You can use, I'm not talking about gripping the club now, I'm talking about just in training and conditioning. You can use any finger as long as the power spot. First pad up represents the upper core. You'll notice, remember we use red. First knuckle up is the mid core and second pad up is lower core. I'm going to go through all of that in this video. If you're playing golf, when you finish, you'll notice that your weight floats. You had knee flex and there is no predominant mid, lower, upper core balance point. To acquire that, you want to use a piece of gauze tape. I put a piece of gauze tape on my middle knuckle. For example, if I am, or first knuckle up, if I am a mid-core player, this is what I want to do. And then when I add knee flex, my weight goes right behind the balls of the feet, forward to the center of the arches, my mid-core balance point. If you take the upper core, this is when you go play. If you're a mid-core player, that's what you want to wear. You can put it on any finger, either hand. It will recruit from any region. I just happen to put it on my middle finger here. So if you're an upper core, you want to put on any finger, gauze tape, while you play or practice on that first pad up. It will help you recruit the balance you need for sequencing and address heel-to-toe balance. This is going to create heel-to-toe balance. This only works after you've done the right balance express with the fingers taped as shown in the following video. Or here in front of me, I have my 9 core region stance widths. So as you view this video, I'm working on this horizontal plate facing you. I have that 0 to 7 or 0 to 9 and 0 to 9 on this side. So what I'm going to be showing you momentarily has to do with me changing my stance widths on those 9 core. Now those are color coded. The lower core we've always color coded blue, middle core we've always color coded black, and upper core we've always color coded red. I'm going to disrupt my core now I'm going to disrupt it 2 ways. Doesn't matter what stance width I go to. I'm going to roll my shoulders forward toward my sternum, hold them. Forward flexion, hold them. I'm going to roll my shoulders back and hold them. And then I'm pinching my shoulder blades together in an isometric move. And then adding knee flex, back extension a little bit, and exhaling and holding my breath. Okay, so that's the vertical plane. I'm going to go with the horizontal plane. I'm going to do the same thing on this plane. Roll my shoulders forward first. Forward flexion. Keep those shoulders rolled in that isometric position. Stand tall. Pinch the shoulder blades to get toward each other in an isometric move. And back extension. Now when I finish here, a couple of things I want you to be aware of. Well, first of all, looking at me now, my left hand always internally rotates, and you can see that, okay? My right shoulder has dropped, and my right hip rises, so I have this, back to this crunch factor, interface of spine and pelvis, headed for injury, and I can already feel the tension. I'm so used to being in balance and having symmetry after the express, I can feel it through the body. I can feel those changes going now. Your students, by the way, will get a good pain relief with the express exercises. It's just the reorganization of the spine and pelvis and shoulder girdle. First thing I want you to notice is when I stand here, you can see this okay, I'm on number 9, 0 and 9. That's my upper core. So if I apply pressure, well, I don't want to rotate my hands. If I apply pressure to that upper core power spot in any finger, I can do it on my little finger, and notice where my hips go. That's just by applying pressure while I'm standing on an upper core stance width. I'm going to move to another upper core stance width, 7. That same pressure being held, you'll see how square I am. And if I go to number 8, that same pressure being held. Now I'm going to step 1 inch to my right to number 4, mid-core, and I lost it. I'm back to number 8. I still have that pressure in my little finger here, and I'm good. As soon as I release the pressure, everything goes back. So that, I can do that on any finger, first pad up. It's a great thing to show your students because they're going to understand even more so how important those power spots are. So if I apply back to 9 here, I don't know if you can see my rotation, hold my hands hanging normally at my side, I just move my thumb over and apply pressure to that power spot, totally relaxed. You look down, my hips are squared. So simply applying pressure here to a power spot, any finger, as your hands hang naturally, will square it up. Let's try now low core. Okay? So low core is the upper pad, second pad up. You can see how much rotation I have. I believe rotation by core region is equal also. The amount of rotation is your carrying angle, for what it's worth. Okay, I'm going to relax, stand tall, apply pressure to my middle finger of my left hand on the lower core power spot, and you can see what happened. I'm going to go to 3, which is also low core. I stay square. I go to 2, which is also a lower core stance width, and I stay square. I go to 6, which is next to 2, and I rotate. So again, the application of pressure. I'm going to go now to mid-core, which is that first knuckle up, my mid-core power spot. And stand tall and relax. You see the rotation. Look straight ahead, apply pressure. I can feel the rotation of the hips. As soon as I hit that power spot, doesn't take a lot of pressure, by the way. Does not take a lot of pressure. That was 6, I'm on 4. Now I'm going to 5, and I'm staying square. So what does this mean? Well, I'm going to show you. Okay, so now what I've done is I've taken colored gauze tape. Here's what the gauze tape looked like. And I put it on my lower core, on my ring finger, my upper core on my left index finger, my right index finger I put it on my mid-core power spots. So you'll see what happens now here in just a moment. So you can see no matter where I go, I still have that disrupted core. No matter where I go, and my planes of motion are going to be absolutely perfect. Now, my shoulders and hips, notice how my hands hang. Hips feel pretty level, and you can tell if my shoulders are level. Now, for this demonstration, I'm just going to take them off right now so you can see. And using the gauze tape, believe me, I've tried everything. From a rubber band, you want to do that. My finger turned blue on that one. I'm not gauze tape color. And these are pretty simple to remove once you have them on. So I get these off just to show you I didn't exercise to make that change, and I go right back to where I was. Okay? Now, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to retape my hands and show you why you don't want to do that. You want to do it to do the express. And the reason you want to do it for the express is You only have to do the Express once and it covers all 3 grip sizes. And I'll show you that in a little bit. What I've done now is I have taped different fingers, same power spots. Here's my black power spot on my little finger. I've used my thumb this time for upper pad on my lower core, and my little finger on my right hand for upper core. So these spots work temporarily, and again, they're great. If you tape your hands like this, do your core, your grip size, whatever that is, and whatever sport. Do your grip size, you've taken care of all core regions no matter what you pick up. It will not alter your core, okay? But you can see now, I'm right back to where I was after I took those gauze tape off. So my hips are once again square, and I'm square, let me step back with this foot, I'm square in all planes of motion. Step forward, and again, because you can notice how my hands hang the same, my shoulders are level, as are my hips at this point. So I take these off and all of a sudden I change in every plane of motion. My hips open, stepping forward or back, or close on the frontal or coronal plane. My right shoulder drops, my hip rises, and I get rotation in my transverse plane. So why don't you want to use this? And well, I'll leave this on and show you. The other day I had one of my students walk 20 yards across the range with his golf bag, came back, and he had taped his hands, and his core was completely disrupted. Let me show you what one push-up will do. So with this tape on, doing one push-up, that is enough stress on the core to completely disrupt it. So that is why you'll disrupt in every plane of motion. And you'll notice now my left hand internally has rotated. So the only thing this is good for is to do your exercise. Because you're not imparting, you're not applying stress to the core in any other way. And I have to redo these now because I can't do the exercise. After doing one thing like that, I have disrupted my core. These no longer are working. So I'm going to take this off and explain to you why this works. And then I'm going to show you the express. Pressure, compression to a pre-stressed system. You've seen this before. Apply pressure to any point. It spills throughout the entire system. It's not localized. And when you relieve that pressure, which is why the exercises work, by the way, isometric exercise and isometric hold, when we relieve it, it returns to symmetry. So what we've demonstrated, you'll notice I put the tape only on my left hand, upper core part of my thumb, lower core part of my ring finger, and mid-core part of my middle finger. And this application works either on one hand, as long as you have the three zones, and that's really what I believe they are. There is a tremendous video that was made by Jean-Claude Gumberet, I believe is his name, French surgeon, strolling under the skin, and he shows the geometric structures that reside in our fascia. And I believe what we have tapped into here, using the 9 stance widths, and the Fibonacci, we use the Fibonacci numbers to arrive at these, and the 3 core or 3 zones. I believe we have a zone on the front, middle, and back of the body. And that's what we're activating here. So, again, if I apply pressure to a pre-stressed system, any one place, it isn't localized. It spreads throughout the entire system. We see that with a geodesic dome, and in strolling under the skin, there's a great illustration of that in their video. So basically what we're looking at is a Tensegrity model based in particular, this evolved out of Donald Ingber at Harvard Medical. So what you've seen in the other videos, these are my 3 grip sizes. You look at me now, I look like I'm square. I take these off and my body falls apart in terms of symmetry. So I'm going to go through, face on this time, all 9 core regions. And I'm going to do these briefly, but I want you to note I'm going to do it only on my lower core, but I have my mid and on my upper core, I have my mid and lower core hand taped. So I'm going to start with 1, and we're going to do this exercise the way it did optimization. Optimization, if you'll recall, shoulders forward here, and we hold this. I'm taking 1 breath in each of these. If you're a student watching this, you want to hold a good 5 seconds in each one of these. I've done this so much. This is just for demonstration. And I pinch my shoulder blades together, and knee flex, back extension, and I go to 2. Roll the shoulders toward the sternum, hold, forward flexion, hold, up, pinch the shoulder blades together, hold, back extension, hold. And 3. Forgot the upper one. And 4. Back extension. And 5. Roll the shoulders toward the sternum. Forward flexion, hold. Pinch the shoulder blades, hold. And 6. And 7. And 8. Last one on the vertical plane. So I've actually added 2 holds to this. If you go back, look at the old optimization without the closed kinetic chain. I've added this one and this one standing. And you don't have to do that, but I would strongly encourage you to. So what you'll see now, and I didn't show you this so you can test it on your own, that I only did that express on my upper core grip size here, but because I had the tape here, you'll recall. So if you go to an upper core number and hold this, you'll see you're in good shape. You can go anywhere and you'll be in good shape, by the way. Because once we've done that, you can do away with concern for stance width. You'll be in balance. If you're playing golf, upper core needs a very narrow base. Promise you that one. Lower core needs a wide base, and mid core somewhere in between. But let's see what happened. I'm on the same line here to my grip size. You'll notice now, it doesn't matter where I go, I stay square. It is because I taped these fingers before I did it. Take the taped power spots, any finger, either hand, and you go play, you want to use a piece of gauze. I'd use a piece of gauze tape. It's flexible, it'll last, It'll maintain that pressure. After you've done the right balance express, with the fingers taped, you can go to any stance width. I would still advocate upper core, narrow stance, sequencing of motion hasn't changed. All this tape is going to do is recruit your core region, because after you've done it, if you watch me, I add knee flex, I float, which is not a bad thing, by the way. If I'm running, walking, going to the gym to work out, I want to keep these fingers taped, all in all three regions. And I say fingers, 3 fingers with a piece of tape on each, representing each core region. So, as you saw in the beginning of this video, if I go to any finger and I tape, I think in the beginning I used mid-core, I'm going to go to upper core here. And I tape that first pad up, and I add knee flex, my weight immediately goes to the balls of my feet. So if I have a club in my hand, I don't have any adjustment, I don't have to look. We still want to use the power spots, the upper core power spots, or whatever fits your core region. When you go to work out, I would encourage you to tape all 3 fingers. If you're going for a walk, tape all 3 fingers, or all 3 power spots, I should say. So you're going to tape 1 finger on the first pad up, another finger either hand on the knuckle, and the second pad up on the for the lower core on any finger. The other thing you want to be aware of now, if you don't have your 9 right balance stance width numbers, those stance widths are where you're doing the exercises, you can still put this to a test. You can still tape your fingers. If you have some kind of a bar and bungee you can measure, you'll see all your planes of motion will correct to symmetry. I do know that you can walk for 2 or 3 miles and maintain a core. Anything you pick up or begin to do, if you walk, as you heard me say, walk with a golf bag, 20 yards, you'll disrupt the core. If you do 1 plank or 1 push-up, you'll disrupt the core. So swinging a golf club, it's not going to work going to the gym and working out, but it will work, we've found, just on a casual walk. And that's going to take a lot of stress off the core, just walking. As soon as you pick something up or add pressure to any part of the core outside the 9 stance widths in an isometric exercise, you're going to disrupt your core.